Your relationship with your practitioner and therapist and clinician may have a very profound impact on your healing. Hello, I'm Rodger Duckworth, and for the last 30 years, I've helped people often at the edge of despair and giving up hope. Not only manage, but very often overcome their chronic pain, chronic health issues. The therapeutic alliance, as I would refer to it, is a really important one. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a relationship between practitioner and client, therapist and client. And that relationship, it needs to be framed in a particular way. We're not friends in the typical way, and we can't be. Because there needs to be, it's an irony, there needs to be a distance, there needs to be a boundary. And boundaries are so important. There needs to be, there's this weird thing that says that because there is a boundary, that means that I am not ever going to be an intimate relational partner or a friend in that way outside of that space, allows us actually to enter into a deeper place that can feel very much like your closest friend, actually, which will allow you to have the vulnerabilities because you know that they're held in a non-judgmental space, in a compassionate space with someone who probably, and actually in my case, has very often been through their own pain, their own difficulties, their own therapy, their own healing journey. You know, I'm just going to name again because so often people don't realize that I've been on my own healing journey, and I'm not just a theorist. I have done the hard yards, and I know what it's like to have good therapeutic alliances and not good ones because I've been in different places. We need to resonate. We need to feel an ease with someone if we're going to feel safe in their hands. Particularly in my work, if I'm dealing with trauma, we may be moving close towards very difficult experiences, heart racing, flashbacks, all sorts of different things which need to be really slowly contained to keep you safe and not re-traumatizing you. And the trust that needs to build between us is so important. You know, trust is something which I need to earn as your therapist and as your practitioner. I can't just expect it. Yeah. That alliance is a two-way thing. I also need to know that there's a respect that I'm not just someone you can rock up to when you feel like it or cancel when you've got something else that's just cropped up. There needs to be a commitment in that relational dynamic that says, I'm not just here to come and buy a loaf of bread when you feel like it, and actually if you don't want to go today, you won't go. That won't work. That's also not respecting the other side of the therapeutic alliance of I am blocking out this time and I am being here for you. And I will be solidly here for you. Yeah. So there is this relationship. Now there's more esoteric layers to this, that actually, why do I do so much work? Why do I continue to have supervision? Why have I done 2 decades? Oh, I've been practicing for over 30 years, but in this therapeutic realm for 2 decades, why do I continue to do my own somatic work, psychotherapeutic work? Why do I still do that? Why? Because I need to build a very big container. I need to understand myself. I need to understand any resonances that I might have, transference, countertransference, we might call these things, to be able to be this very stable space. I want to say unshakable, but we can still be moved. Yeah. But there's been a difference between being in resonance and sometimes wanting to, there have been occasions when I have shed a tear with my client and some would say, oh, well, that's not, there are some therapeutic worlds would say that's wrong. And I'm going, well, no, why? Because I'm human. Now, I'm not dissolving and collapsing and losing my own sense of center. That's different. But to stay in my center, but stay emotionally sharing with someone, may often be what exactly they need, where no one else has been able to see that and hold that, or that the person that needed to try should have been there to hold their emotional stuff, or their pain, or their experience, or their fears, or their anxieties, couldn't hold their own. This is so common. If our caregivers and parents and people around us are not safe spaces when we grow up, that means that we learn to have to deal with that stuff in a different way. And I may well be the very first person who's been able to offer something and reparent, actually, as it's sometimes called, that process that we should have had when we were younger. Again, I could go on for a long time, really, but the therapeutic alliance, knowing that therapist is a space where you just instinctively feel right, a space which is boundaried in a healthy way, not in some rigid way, because boundaries can be flexible and some are porous and some are immovable. And working with all of that and feeling, actually, when you walk in the space, I just feel right. I'm able to be at ease. And then when we're able to feel safe in that, then a part of that important journey is also that I will need to challenge some and come up against difficult edges in your experience. And we can only do that once we've spent probably quite some time really building a sense of safety and a sense of containment in that therapeutic alliance. So if we're going to go to difficult places, then you want to only go there with someone you go, I know I've got you. I've got you. Don't worry. But we are going to nudge some stuff. So the therapeutic alliance, really important.